Hello. Welcome to the second episode and the first unsolved case on this podcast. My name is Casey Schumann.
And my name is Nima Abdullahi.
And we will be discussing the case of JonBenét Ramsey. She was a pageant girl.
She was described by many of her loved ones as funny, caring, sweet, and sometimes quiet. Sometimes she was a showgirl, she was creative, and sometimes playful.
She lived happily in Colorado with her mom, dad, and brother. Unfortunately, she was brutally murdered in December 25th, 1996. Initially, the family filed a missing persons report, and there was a search conducted, but nothing was found.
A second search was done, and in this search, the father discovered her body in the basement of their house. The police found out that she died due to strangulation and blunt force trauma.
Another thing that was found after the second search was conducted is a ransom note. This ransom note was 3 to 4 pages long and was basically demanding $118,000 in return for JonBenét Ramsey. This ransom note is specifically very important to the case, and we'll get into the details on that more later. But right now, the focus is on what this implies about the case when it was first found. The fact that there was a ransom note at all implies that the person who wrote this was intending to return JonBenét as long as the person got the money they wanted. Either that, or they wanted to stage a crime scene to look as if that could be true.
The more the house was searched, they discovered cords and paint handles on the victim's body. Also SA evidence, which turned the whole case into a homicide investigation. Once the case turned into a homicide investigation, there were many suspects, but the suspect's DNA did not resonate with the DNA that was found on the victim's underwear.
Eventually, someone was convicted for the murder of JonBenét Ramsey, but was later released from prison after they found out his details and his DNA didn't match up with the crime scenes. The DNA found on her underwear did not match any of her family members, and this is relevant because another very popular theory is that someone in her family killed her.
There has been many conspiracies on what happened to her, was it an intruder or was it an inside job? There was just a lot in this case. Here was the top two theories in this case. First, it was a family involved case. So either her brother did it, her mom did it, or even her father did it.
The intruder theory is really just how it sounds, that an intruder broke in to murder her. The police originally suspected this because there was a broken window in the basement and unidentified male DNA in her underwear. Later, the father came forward to say that he had broken the window a few weeks prior to the incident. After these details came out, the public started to question the family more and more.
When the ransom note demanded $118,000, it was the same amount John Ramsey was supposed to get as a bonus from his company for Christmas. Only the family knew this, and it was like a close information. It shouldn't have been outside of, the family. Obviously, it could have also been parts of the business people he worked with. They could have known, but yeah, most people say that it was inside the family that they should be the only ones who knew about that money, and it was as a way to make it seem like somebody else wanted their money, but And another one was when the search was conducted, her father immediately ran downstairs to the basement and immediately found her body the very first moment they even started. So that made people think, oh, he definitely knew where the body was and he was just hiding it like he didn't know, but he knew exactly where the body was. Also, it was unfamiliar items around, like the duct tape, the rope. Yeah, it was a lot going on in this case. I feel like personally, I would understand why people believe it was the family, because it's just very unusual how the exact money that he was earning was used in the ransom note, and also the unusual discovery and all the clues that was on them. The only difference of the clue that was on the body was literally the DNA from the unknown male. But you'd never know. What if they hired that man?
I can definitely see how many people may think the family was involved in this murder, especially with the brother being home that night and apparently not hearing anything or knowing what was going on. I feel like a lot of people think he may have done it. The parents came home and got scared. The dad staged the crime scene and the mother wrote the ransom note because they were scared of losing both of their children instead of just one. I also think that it's hard to know with there also being another unidentified male's DNA on her, which means someone else was definitely involved. There were people working in the house and stuff. It might have been a cleaner, it might have been an intruder, it might have been a family friend for all we know.
Anything could have been possible in this case, which is why till this day it is unsolved, and hopefully it gets solved because this is a very crazy case. Condolences to the family and everybody who was a loved one of JonBenét Ramsey. And that's it for this podcast.